I have an idea for a cold open. We can jump scare our viewers.
In the Magic the Gathering community, the people are entertained by two separate yet equally unimportant groups: the content creators who contribute to the health of the formats, and the bored idiots with too much free time who only make things worse. This is the latter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Lochthwain Lobby podcast. I am your partner in slime, Russ. Today, I am joined by my co-hosts. They are the equivalent of clicking on the hyperlink for cringe parentheses disambiguation on Wikipedia. It is Aeryn, second of Lochthwain.
I'm so confused what just happened. No, no,
We
no.
jump scared our viewers.
What's not going to make the cut is that I also just got jump scared. Uh, I was not told this was happening. Russ was going to
That's the
pitch.
best part.
Russ was going to pitch a cold open, and then suddenly I'm getting relegated to co-host.
You're getting relegated to a hyperlink on Wikipedia.
I even had a good burn for you this week too that I've been thinking about. That was
We'll
on
save it for
theme.
next time.
Well, it's not going to be on theme next time.
Sure, it will be. Anyway, this week on the Locked Twin Lobby podcast, we're going to talk about mostly Pauper because Aeryn played their first Comp REL Pauper event at SCG Con Cincinnati. I also had a fairly deep run, and then we also want to talk about a commander player's perspective of getting into a 60 card format.
But first, let's talk about this week in Magic. I know I had a busy week. Did you have a busy week?
Uh, Not since SCG Con, no.
I mean, that's fair. SCG Con kind of took a lot out of you specifically. I mean, you only drove what, 16 hours that weekend?
Yeah, something like that.
You were of 72 hours, you drove 16 of them. That's kind of tough.
But I still had enough energy to break parody on this podcast.
Somehow. Both break parity and break parity. Yeah, I had a pretty busy week. I reached the point where I decided I was finally satisfied with where all my commander decks were. So I took my no responsibilities, no bills paycheck and built two more entire commander decks because I am irresponsible.
We knew that already.
I built a Fira Judge of Valor deck and a Bruna Light of Alabaster deck. Both have gotten to see some play. The big highlight, of course, was the Memorial Day cookout with our friends and sponsor, the Turn 6 Gaming Club. They're not giving us any money. They just give us stuff. We love them.
We
That they're wonderful people. If you're in the Cincinnati area looking for Commander Night, Thursdays at Mavericks Mason, we get together around 4 o'clock. Night usually ends around 9:30. They're a great group of people. Come hang out.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that we are now the unofficial official podcast of the Turn 6 Gaming Club.
So shout out to the Turn 6 Gaming Club. We got together for a Memorial Day party on Sunday, hosted by Cheese in the Discord, aka Eric. The vibe was great. We kept a campfire going through the pouring rain. His children were wonderful, and I got to play three interesting games of Magic the Gathering, and I had a wonderful time doing so. I got to play both of my new decks. Fira has started her career at a 50% win rate. Bruna has started hers at a 0% win rate at 0 for 1. But over the last couple weeks, I have been able to climb back up into the low 30s in my win rate from a measly 12% at the beginning of the year. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So let's talk about SCG Con, Aeryn.
Let's talk about SCG Con. Let's start. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the Pauper event? Do you want to start with where
Let's start with day one.
Day one was awesome. My very first convention is we talked about. Day one technically was Thursday night. Russ came out. We met up with the crew, Serena, Samira, a whole bunch more from the Turn 6 Gaming Club. Thursday night, got some games in. Went to our favorite local Mexican restaurant. If you know what, Russ, if we were to ever get a legitimate sponsor, I would love to be the official Magic the Gathering podcast of El Caporal. Give me that burrito especial playmat, baby.
Hey, if Spike Feeders can get sponsored by Burrito Splendido, I think we can manage an El Caporal sponsor.
El Caporal is the spot we go to every time Russ is in town, every time we have a gathering, and we are fairly certain that there is some sort of sport involved in how much of a burrito especial I will eat. Fantastic vibes. Friday, we got to the con stupid early and we dove right in.
Yeah, Friday for the most part, I played in Two-Headed Giant and that was kind of it. Didn't do great, so I don't really want to talk about it too much. I'm not that good at sealed or draft for that matter. But Friday was mostly the buy and sell day, getting signatures for Aeryn. I found a signed Cosima in just a binder somewhere, and so I bought that.
And it is now the face card on that box. I have put the standard Cosima in the deck to play with. And so my two premier decks, I call them, in the Showcase Squire XL boxes have special versions, and I'm very grateful. That was a jump scare. I was not expecting to be gifted a signed Cosima because the artist for Cosima doesn't go out often.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to find one, so it worked out both ways. Yeah, we spent a little bit of time getting you up to speed on Pauper because
Hmm.
you had decided kind of last minute that you wanted to play in the 1K on Saturday.
Did I decide, or was I peer pressured with a very small amount of effort?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Um,
Uh, that was pretty much the entire reason I was coming up. I wanted to play in the 1K on Saturday,
yep.
and I guess I had talked about Pauper enough for Aeryn to want to also play.
So one of my favorite decks in Magic in 60 card and competitive has always been Legacy Spy. I love the concept of one land, do the thing.
Well,
Uh,
in Legacy, it's called Oops All Spells,
Oops all spells, one land spy, depends on the build.
which has also been recently partially banned. They
It
banned
has.
Undercity Informer in Legacy.
Oh no, whatever will it do? Anyway, um,
That it is a relevant ban. That
it
is
is a
like
pretty significant ban,
half of
yeah.
its combo pieces.
Um, but yeah, so we Friday the rest of Friday was just getting signatures, scouting out what we wanted to purchase. Russ made some big purchases. I made some big purchases. I got a couple prints from a couple of my favorite artists for the new apartment studio that I'm going to. Um, I got my foil Aboro from Betrayers of Kamigawa signed by Rob Alexander, or Saviors of Kamigawa. So shout out to Rob Alexander for doing that for me. Uh, just great vibes Friday. It was very chill. Saturday is where we got into a little bit of trouble. We hit Pauper, we started spending money. Russ, let's before I talk about my big purchase, let's talk about your much more irresponsible purchase.
Yeah, I bought a playset of foil Strixhaven Mystical Archive Japanese counterspells.
And why don't you tell the good people at home how much that cost you?
I'd rather not. I
Oh,
don't want to
wait.
talk about my finances on this podcast.
Yeah, so Russ got some very nice counter spells for his Pauper deck, and I was able to find. So my whole thing is I wanted to find something that is either impossible or difficult to find something somewhere else. We talked about that. My pick number one was nowhere to be found, as I expected. But among a bunch of really nice staples out of the bargain bins, I found at one of the, I believe it was the Tales of Adventure booth. It might have been the Mana Vault booth. I found a near mint Judge Foil Demonic Tutor, and I pulled the trigger almost right away on it. That is a card that I have been wanting to find for so long. And even at a game store, they don't just walk in. Like, you don't find that card. So I was very excited to get my hands on one, and it is seeing play. It is not just sitting in a binder.
Yeah. Which is the right way to go about it. You shouldn't just buy fancy cars just for them to never see the light of day again.
And I know that's a controversial topic, and we're not going to go super deep into it. Like, I have a collection of things. Everyone has a collection of things. But it is my opinion that these cards should not be a stock market. You should not be buying things to sell later. If you're going to buy a card, play it. I'm a firm believer in that. When I do have expensive cards, I try my best to play them. And if I'm not playing them, I sell them to people who will.
Yeah. But without further ado, let's get into talking about the 1K.
Yeah, let's start at round
So
one.
yes, so round one, I was playing Demir Fairies, by the way. I was playing Tempo Fairies, and Aaron was playing my four land spy deck.
Which is the very poorly broken up connection to the Legacy deck I was talking about. It is the
Yes.
Legacy Spy deck, legal in Pauper, running four lands, fifth in the sideboard.
Yes. So round one, I played against Mr. Dale Hall, who was playing Boros Energy, which was a really sick brew. It leveraged a lot of the MH3 commons that give you energy in addition to Jolted Awake to try and reanimate an Oliphant really early.
That's sick.
But it also gives you access to like Galvanic Discharge because that's a common for some reason.
I don't know why it wouldn't be. Energy cards are notoriously bad, are they not? That
Yeah. But I
that's
was talking to him
sarcasm.
afterwards, and he apparently has four different Boros energy decks. He has Modern, Legacy, Pauper, and also Dual Commander.
Honestly, if you're gonna pick a bit, commit to the bit, and that's commitment
Yeah,
to the bit.
that's like my Merfolk bit. But how did your round one go, Aaron?
Round one was actually super interesting. So I paired up, I forget the person's name, and I don't feel like pulling up
I
Melee.
have it pulled up right now. You were against Solio.
Thank you. Who was on Mono White Heroic, which in theory should be a very bad matchup for me. But things lined up well. I knew the combos, I knew the deck, and I knew what to look out for. And I was able to pull a quick 2-0 on that, which was a lot of fun. Even at my weeklies for Standard Modern, I've never won a match. I've won games here and there, but I usually just went to have fun and hang out. So that was my first ever competitive 60 card win. And I started 2-0, and it was sick.
Nice. Uh, yeah, my round one game two was very grindy because I just kept removing and countering everything that he could play while I was beating down with Brine Barrow intruders. And at some point in game two, I three separate times I hard cast a Lorraine revealed.
Ooh,
It was that grindy.
that feels bad.
Well, it felt great to draw three cards and then still get the hold up counterspell.
That also feels really good.
Uh, but round two, I played against a blue-green persistent petitioners combo,
Ew.
which, as best as I could figure out, its goal was to self-mill a few times with persistent petitioners, and it played a bunch of changelings and advisors. It self-milled a couple times, but then once it has enough Moment's Peace and Gnawed of the Bone, I think is the name of the card, in its graveyard that it can flash back, then it starts just milling you for 12 over and over.
Oh man, that's nuts.
Yeah, it was a very odd deck, very grindy game, but I was able to pull that one out in game three. He did mill me out in game two. I I didn't really have much to bring in this game, so I just brought in Dispels from the sideboard because the only thing he really did that was relevant in game one was try to flash back a Gnaw to the Bone.
Hmm.
And so I just brought in something that potentially counter that, and then two of my three Dispels countered a Brainstorm in game three.
Fantastic.
What about you? What was your round two?
So round two was kind of when I learned what the biggest pitfall of Pauper Spy is, and honestly, what I'm adjusting for in my own personal build, because this was a borrowed deck. Uh, Pauper Spy is very feast or famine. You are either winning by turn four or you're losing. And the problem with the deck and going into certain builds with it is you do have to mulligan really aggressively. And when you do so, you oftentimes don't find a playable opening hand. On top of that, I was up against a deck that I was going to have to race anyway. I was up against Elves. Elves
Hmm.
is wild in any format, but there is really no restriction on what you can run in Elves in Pauper. So you've got Priestess Titania out there, Lissalana Huntmaster with several other just not population spells essentially, and it gets out of hand incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
So the way that it played out is turn one, I got blown out. Game one, I got blown out. Game two, I sideboarded in my extra land and my Fang Dragons to try and get some spread removal. Had to mulligan down to three because I did not see a land grant, a Lotus Petal, or a land in any of my first four hands. And that's the way the deck goes sometimes. And so I got quick O2 there. Had a great time though. And the thing is, when you go into a competitive situation like that, that's not a feel bad. It's what you expect with a deck like that. It's either the perfect hand and you combo off, or you're hoping real hard that that top deck is something useful.
Yeah. And I actually played against this same Elves player in round five, which we'll talk about later. He's a very good guy, very fun to play against. Just
Oh yeah,
really, really good banter.
vibes were great the entire time. I have Nothing bad to say about the gentleman.
All
Just
right.
tough.
Round three, I was against Jameer Terror, and I was against he changed his name on melee.gg now, but at the time his name was the Crispiest J. And he was the only person, spoilers, he was the only person that I lost to the entire day. He beat me both in Swiss and in top eight.
Yeah, I don't think I went up against this guy. This was this your table one game? Was this the guy with the car playmat?
Yeah, he had the like old school town car like road map playmat. It was so funny.
The
He
guy
had
was
a
just
little like
absolutely
possum on
immaculate.
wheels that he said was his avatar. Just all around, I had so much fun just meeting people at this tournament. It was so funny.
Oh yeah, the vibes. I mean, competition aside, the vibes were fantastic. My round three and round four, honestly, and we're gonna get to that in a second, were the only issues that I had all day. I played, I think I ended up playing 6 rounds.
Yep.
Did not play the seventh because my tiebreakers wouldn't have been good enough and my record wouldn't have been good enough. So, you pass on that point, go enjoy the rest of the con. But my round three, I don't even remember what the guy was playing. I just remember that game one, he was really cool. I sideboarded, I changed out a few sleeves, and then I looked over and he had several sleeves that were just beefed, but it wasn't consistent. And it was mostly, certain cards. So I said, hey man, do you have some extra sleeves? And he said, no, not really. And I said, well, can you change those out if possible so I don't have to call a judge over it? Because I didn't want to make it a judge call. We're having a good time. It's good vibes. We're all just hanging out. And I didn't want, someone later in the day to judge call him on it because we're all here to have a good time. But it didn't really work out that way. Dude kind of got snippy with me. I ended up 2-0ing him. Just zoomed through it. He was a nice enough person, but really didn't like that I asked him to change his sleeves. Like it was an
Uh,
in.
it's it's according to Melee, it says that you won 2-1. So I don't know if you're misremembering
Oh, I
what
did.
round it
I did
was.
lose game. I did lose game one. That's right.
Okay. So he was
Yeah,
playing Bogles as
he
well.
was
That's
playing
what
Bogles, and
Melee is saying.
I had a misplay in game one. I forgot that Ceruli Caretaker doesn't tap itself, and I kept it as my land source, as my mana source.
Oof.
And I got yeah, and then it was a very quick game two, game three. That's what happened.
Yeah.
I got 2-1 that round.
All right. And then round four was I
Oh,
was up
round
against
four.
Red Green Panza.
Wait, was that? Hold
And
on. What? Go look, because I thought I was against Ponza in round
no,
four. Was
you
I
were
against?
round five.
What did I? What were they playing? They were playing Bogles in round three. What was I on round four then? Oh,
Affinity.
that was Affinity. That's right. That was my Affinity game. Yeah, we don't even need to talk about that. That was real quick. 0-2.
Yeah, so my Panza matchup is extremely good because I have access to Snuff Out and Cast Down to remove what the community I have since learned refers to as Chris, which is Writhing Chrysalis.
Quiz.
I have every piece of removal I could possibly want, and it only gets better in games two and three if need be, because I can bring in my Hydroblast to deal with the boarding parties.
Very nice.
She tried to remove my first like two or three land drops, and I just kept replacing it with another one. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that was an interesting person. Yeah, I don't want to talk about round four. Round four was I have a bad matchup into Affinity with
Yeah,
Sly.
most
It
decks
just
do. Affinity is a hard deck to play against right now, just because it can attack on so many different angles.
yeah.
Esper, not so much as Grixis, because Grixis has access to makeshift munitions, but Esper can still get in very
hmm
quickly and just get out, get in, get out, and you just don't really know what happened.
Refurbished Familiar and Wicker Folk are both just crazy cards.
I love Furby, dude. It's such a good
Is
card.
that what the community calls it, Furby?
Yeah.
Fantastic. No, I got super excited about that card for I play Pauper EDH too. And at the time I had an Armix Filigree Thrasher Mono Black Artifacts Pauper EDH deck. Immediately slotted a Furby in there. Love that card.
Card is so gas,
It's
dude.
so gas. It's sick.
Especially in this format because it's just like one mana, 2/1 flyer that maybe discards your opponent's cards, maybe gets you card advantage. It's just an all-star. Yeah, round five. We're just kind of quickly moving through these. There's not really a ton to talk about. Round five, I was against the Elves player that you played against in round two.
And you had a
Uh,
much
ga
better matchup into that. You've got the counter
yes,
magic, you've
it's
got the
still a
kill
very
spells.
difficult matchup for fairies, but game one, I was able to just sort of remove every Priest of Titania, every threat that he played. Hang on, let me double check that just to make sure I'm not misremembering um, what game I won. Yeah, I won, or he won game one. I won games two and three.
Hmm.
So he overwhelmed me in game one with three Hydras in a row, and it was just very difficult for me to get through those. Game
Yeah.
two, he got stuck on one land for the entire game, and I just didn't let him stick any elves at all.
Yeah.
And then game three was very, very back and forth, but then I stuck a Arms of Hadar the turn that he played Timberwatch Elf,
Hmm.
and it wiped his entire board, and he couldn't save anything with Timberwatch Elf.
Yeah, and that happens. I mean, the elf strategy, I don't want to say it's feast or famine because it's really not. It's a very consistent deck. But if you find a weakness in it and you exploit it, it's a pretty easy way to the finish line. My deck didn't have a way to get there. It didn't have a way to deal with the board.
Yeah. And then round five, you were against the same person that I played in round four.
Let's my round five and round six, I think, are my favorite moments of the day. So for round five, I played against the Ponza player, and I took a very traditional route. Game one, I took game one. Um, if I remember correctly. I took game one of the very classic way to do spy in Legacy is you take game one, you lose game two to see what they do, and then adapt at game three. And that's kind of what I did. Game one was very quick. She immediately dropped her land removal spells, but the problem is she didn't realize I'm only playing four lands in the main board. And by the time she was dropping a land remover spell on turn four, I had 6 mana's worth of creature, and so losing a land was not hard. It just wasn't hurting me. She's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna blow up your forest. All right, cool. I'm gonna tap this overgrown battlement for 7." Like,
Like,
or
what are we
for
doing here?
I'm gonna bring this wall of roots down and float another man. Like it didn't affect me. So game two, so I was executing the Balustrade Spy combo, which is essentially get all the lands out, play Spy, throw everything away, flashback the Dread Return by sacking 3 creatures. Use that to get the Lot Left Giant when it enters the battlefield. Deals damage equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard. So the way that works, you play the spy, mill, do the thing. So I'm turning over every card in my library to prove there's no land. And her answer was like, "Is this a win con or something?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I kind of walked her through the line. And she was like, "Oh, I've never seen that one before." And I couldn't tell if she was being sarcastic or just salty, but she didn't like it. So we go to game two. I kind of just sit back, chill, let her do what she's gonna do. Um, Game three, I think you watched game three. Game three was very technical. I will give her that. I really kind of had to sweat it out, but I got there. I figured it out. There were some weird lines I had to follow. The Fang Dragons, she had one, I had one. We went back and forth on them. And then eventually I think I hard casted a Fang Dragon. No, I hard casted a Sagu Wildling twice to gain the extra life I needed, and then went over the top and killed.
Nice.
It was a it was a fun game. She was salty, ended up scooping after that, and went and talked to her friend about how awful it was right in front of us, and I had a great time with that. I I think there needs to be a new rule added to the CR, and that is if you are playing land removal, you are not allowed to be salty.
Yeah, we'll talk more about land removal decks in Pauper later. I I've checked her profile, and the only history she has on Melee is standard.
Okay.
So I maybe she wasn't terribly familiar with Pauper. Maybe someone convinced her to play and she just didn't have a good time. They're like, yeah, just play this deck. It's really good because you just destroy lands and people get upset. I'm not really sure. I'm not gonna try and speculate about that,
Joke's on
but
you. I don't need my lands.
she kind of got hit with the 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it was a tough back to back.
Round five was One
Sick.
of my favorite matchups of the entire day. I was
Yeah,
against
yeah.
Monstertron.
I had a fantastic time in round five. Yeah, talk about Monstertron a little bit because it's kind of a weird
Yeah.
build.
Yeah. Well, Monstertron's not really all that odd. It's very strong currently in the meta. Um, it does struggle a little bit. The matchup can go a little bit back and forth if it's against mono blue fairies. And I went turn one Island Fairy Seer, and he kind of like he like kind of like huffed a little bit and was like, okay, maybe I can still pull this out. And then turn two, I played a contaminated aquifer, and he just kind of died a little bit inside. This matchup, blue black fairies is atrocious for Tron. It's just like I get counterspell for whatever they cascade into with Maelstrom Colossus, and then I can also just remove the Maelstrom Colossus without bouncing it back to hand.
Crazy.
And the matchup only gets better for me in games two and three when I have the four annul in my sideboard.
This was a fun round. You had told me a little bit about yours. Unfortunately, I didn't get time to come like watch anything because we went to time.
Yeah,
If you remember, I was against my second white heroic deck. So at this point in the day, I already have two match losses. I am 3-2. At the very least, I needed to be 5-2, but even at 5-2, my breakers were
you would need
bad,
perfect tiebreakers to make
which I
top eight.
did not have. I had the possibly the worst tiebreakers with 2-0-2s on my record. Um, but so this guy was an older gentleman. He'd been playing for a long time. And one of my favorite things about talking to him wasn't even the gameplay. I got to kind of get his history with Magic, where he came from, how long he's been playing Pauper. We really just had a really cool conversation about that. Game one, he knocked me pretty easily. White Heroic has a few spells that just give protection from certain color, and most of my good blockers are green. Give pro green, throw it down. That's a quick 1-2.
Yeah.
Um,
Cards like Prismatic Strands and Battle Screech, I think is the other one.
it was Prismatic Strands, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and so we go to turn two, or game two. And we're still talking, having a great time. He's familiar with the deck because he followed Legacy. He knows the spy deck. I run through the combo pretty quickly. I think by turn
Oh wait,
three,
his deck's actually not playing Prismatic Strands.
I don't know what the card was, but I know that he was able to
Uh,
give protection, get around blockers.
yeah, you keep talking. I'm gonna bring up his list and see if I can figure it out.
So I get through that. Game three, by the time we were getting towards the end of game three, we had a crowd. And that's not much of an exaggeration. At least it felt like we had a crowd. Russ was there. Chris, I know Chris Speed, our friend, was there. We had a good amount of people watching us because we were the last matches down. And it really came down to I was pretty low on life. Like, I really could not afford another turn. I had Spy in my hand. I knew where four of my lands were. I was willing to go for it. I also had I had hand interaction in hand, and I could have dropped that and tried to piece out anything he had. But my thought process was, okay, he very easily could kill me on his turn. I need to make him have it here, and it was one of those moments where I had to make a decision, and I decided to go for it. I look him in the eyes, just laughing. I said, "Do you have graveyard removal?" And he said, "We'll see." Just laughed about it. And I threw down the spy, ran through the combo, played the Dread Return, targeted the Lotleth Giant, threw down a white-black hybrid spell that exiled target creature from the graveyard. And I shook
That is
hands.
Beckon Apparition.
Beckett, and I extended my hand and I said that was a great game, and it was. There was not a single because he had it, and if I remember correctly, the other card in his hand would have killed me anyway. So
Yeah.
going for it there did not feel bad. Even if I won, I wasn't making top cut. I still ended up top. I dropped after this round because there was really no point in continuing, and I wanted to go hang out with a couple other people who had come. Um, but that was honestly one of the coolest games I have ever been a part of. Just this back and forth, this down to the wire. We're both fighting for our competition lives. And it is, do you have it? And he did. And I shook his hand and it felt awesome. That is one of
Yeah.
my favorite losses I've ever had.
Nice. That
Yeah.
that seems like a lot of I always love it when you have just like really I tell you this all the time. This is one of my favorite parts about Pauper. If you are looking for a format that rewards very smart magic and very tight play, this is the format you need to play for 60 card.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I'm on board with that.
But then you dropped after this round. On round seven, I got the pair down And so my opponent was needed to get a win to be able to make top eight. I could have drawn and gone to top eight because I was 5-1 at this point. So a draw would have gotten me into top eight, but unfortunately my opponent could not draw because they were already X2. And so we had to play it out, and we sit down. He is playing Black Green Gardens. And in the first game, he plays a pretty well-timed Crypt Rats and wipes 3 or 4 creatures off of my board. But I kept 2 Brinebearer Intruders in my hand, and I dropped them on that end step. I drew a
Nice.
Ninja for turn, and I got in for 3 damage, drew into a Thorn of the Black Rose, and played that, uh, and drew Extract a Confession, which is a sorcery, but it ended up coming right in time because on my opponent's very next turn, they dropped Troll of Khazad-dûm with a couple plant tokens on the board.
Troll of
Uh,
Khazad-dûm is an awesome card.
yes, and if you don't know, Extract a Confession is an edict, but you can collect evidence 6 to force them to sacrifice the creature that has the highest mana value. Power, sorry, greatest power. And so I cast it. I collected evidence because I had a Cycled Lorien revealed and a 1 drop in my grave, so it was just enough for collecting evidence, and forced him to sacrifice the troll instead of the 2 plants that he had on the board.
That's a quick win. That feels good.
That was game one, and then game two, it just I brought in dispels. And I had an answer for literally every single piece of removal or fog or taking the initiative that he tried to play. And I just ran away with that game.
That's awesome. I mean, the deck that you were running is really cool. I'm a big fan of it. So you finished up round 7 pretty cleanly, 5-2.
No,
You made
six
it
and one.
6-1. That's right. You went 6-1.
Yes,
So
so that put me
let's
at top seed going into top eight.
so top 8. Let's talk about how your top 8 went.
Well, let me run through the decks that were in top eight real quick. Okay, so from right to left was Dimir Terror. And then we had Jund Wildfire. Then you have me on Demir Terror. And we had Affinity, uh, Mardu Synth, I believe, Gruul Panza. We had Teamer Pizza combo, and then we had Elves. So 8 different decks in top eight, which was really sick.
Notably a different Panza player than we had already played.
Yes, this one, never mind. I'm not gonna say that. It'd be too mean. Uh, but round one of top eight, I we I got matched into the same player who was my only loss in round three, who was on Demir Terror. Oh man, it didn't go much better this round. He 2'd me with the quickness.
With the quickness.
But I'm very happy with how I played. I went 6-2 on the entire day. I was checking the stats. Not only was I the only fairies player on Demir, there were, let's see, 4 fairies players altogether, I think. Let's see. So we had 2 people on mono blue fairies, 1 person on Azorius fairies, and then me on Demir fairies. So there are 4 people on fairies altogether. I was the only person on Demir fairies, but I also had the highest win percentage of the entire tournament.
That's awesome. We I mean both of our names, yours much higher than mine. Both of our names ended up on MTG Goldfish the next day when things were published. Russ was and it still is, in my opinion, one of the top Demir Pauper players in terms of
Aw, that's
fairies
the
that we've seen.
nicest thing you've ever said to me, I think.
Yeah, we're in your realm of the world here. When we get to Commander, I'll talk all the crap. But you're a great Pauper player.
That's fair, I think.
It's a very technical and tight format, and you picked a deck that you knew really well, and you took it deep, and you did a great job with it. And seeing your name on seeing both of our names on MTG Goldfish, regardless of how it's generated, was really cool.
Yeah, it's not the first time that I've seen my name on there, but it's always really cool when it does happen. What was really cool for me though was going into the fairies into Skura's fairy Discord, and
Hmm.
Skura, for those that may not know, is like the best fairies player in the world. And going into his Discord the next day and seeing him post my deck list, be like, "Hey, look at this list that got top eight at a 60 plus person tournament." I was like, "Oh, hey, that's me."
Well, that's not a small tournament either. I mean, you're going 7 rounds of Swiss at that point. 60 people is a tough fight.
As far as what I changed about this deck, uh, I think the main board, the only change that I'm planning on making, which I can't really do right now because I'm still in the middle of the Howling Salt Mine Pauper League, 3-0 in that right now, by the way. Uh, I'm gonna be one for one swapping the Fairy Miscreants for Pixie Illusionist.
Ooh.
Because that card, I've been really interested in that card. I have 4 foil copies on the way that I really want to try in the deck. It's just a 1-drop fairy. The only relevant part of it uh, for this deck in particular is that you can tap it to turn a land into any basic land type of your choice. So you can play it on turn 1. Turn 2, you can swing with it, or you can hold it up to turn your basic island into a swamp to snuff out something.
That's crazy. That's a crazy tech.
Yeah. Some people are playing it in conjunction with Pepper Smoke, which I think is really interesting, but I'm waiting to see if that becomes a thing that helps into the current meta. Because it's not that great into the Madness decks. It kills Sneaky Snacker, but it doesn't do anything against Gutter Snipe or similar cards.
It is hilarious to me, and I know that it's not supposed to be, but it is hilarious to me. There's just unironically a card called Sneaky Snacker, and it's really good.
But as far as the sideboard, the only change that I make, my sideboard was, I think, pretty phenomenal. The only change that I'd make would probably be swapping the Extracted Confession in my sideboard for a second copy of Arms of Hadar.
Yeah, Arms of Hadar is a good swap there.
Yes. I don't believe I ever brought in the second Extracted Confession. I just never felt right to bring it in. So going forward, I'm going to be swapping that for a second board wipe.
That's sick. I have been working on building my own spy deck, and there are a few changes that I've made to the original. Uh, so the first thing that I noticed that I really wanted to work around is while the Cerulean Caretakers are really good if they have something to build off of, if it's your only mana source in an opening hand, it's bad, and it's really bad. So I made some adjustments on that. I went with 4 mana dorks, 2 mystics, 2 elves, just because that's
Which
what I
mana
had.
dork?
2 elvish mystic, 2 Llanowar elves.
Okay.
Just
Oh,
because
and we
it's
also didn't say it, but you actually also made top 32 of this event.
Yeah, which is really cool for me. I had never participated in an event like this, and I'm really happy that I was able to do well. I
Yeah, for
thought
your
that
first event,
was
getting top 50% of the field is really good.
I finished. I mean, technically, I finished 3-3.
Yep.
I would have gotten a pair down for the. I think I could have gone 4-3, and that would have felt fine. But I'll take it there.
Yeah. I think you should have played the last round just to try and get more reps in the format, get an idea of what else you could potentially run into because you played Heroic twice, Elves once, Ponza, Bogle's Affinity. Yeah. You could have gotten another round in and it would have been fine, I think.
I probably could have, but I had something else I needed to get done that day.
That's fair.
And can I talk about the other thing I had to get done that day? Because it's really funny.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we get off of Pauper for just a second, I got to one of the artists that I was really excited to meet was Pete Venters. Pete Venters, if you don't know, is an iconic Magic the Gathering artist, one of the best of all time, in my uneducated opinion. And I got what did I get signed by him? It was my Songs of the Damned. I got signed by him, and it smeared a little bit. So I go back on Saturday to get it re-signed. Um, and just cleaned up a little bit. And we start talking with this guy in front of me in line, and we're right in front of Pete. And we start talking about Universes Beyond and how we don't like it. And out of nowhere, Pete Venters gets up and leans in and goes, "Let's fucking talk about that." And got all hype. For the next like 20 minutes while he's signing our stuff, is just going in on Universes Beyond and his experiences at Wizards. And while he loves working for them, he would never do anything for Universes Beyond, and how just his whole opinion on it. And it was one of the coolest, most unexpected moments of the weekend. It was so honest. I didn't even like plan it. Like it wasn't what I wanted to be. Like I just wanted to get my songs of the damn fixed. But he just went in and it was really funny.
That's really, that really, I don't even know what to say about that. That's funny.
Bro just went in, and how he like advocated at the time for Sisay to be the lead in Weatherlight, but the lead at the time apparently wasn't confident with a black female lead, and he like outright said that. I'm like, dude, you can't just say that. Like that's uh but yeah, just
You can't just get more based.
stop it. We can only be so based, Pete. Pete Venters was the highlight of my weekend, and he'll never hear this, but cheers to you, Pete Venters. What a guy. But
Yeah.
let's get back into Pauper for a minute. Let's dive into the not the meta, but what we're doing with it. Because I have really embraced the format the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks. I'm working
And
on a
that's
few of my
something
own
that I
builds.
really want to talk about a little bit. We mentioned it very briefly, but I really want to try and get into the ill mind of Hobson, the mind of Mencia, whatever you want to call
What
it right
a
now.
pull! Bro just said ill mind of Hobson in 2026. What a
Uh,
pull.
I also said the mind of Mencia, but you didn't seem to care about that one.
I was far too focused on
Uh,
wow, bro really said ill mind of Hobson. Let's
I want to get
go.
into the lobby of Lochthwain and find out what your thoughts are as a commander player getting into this 60 card format that is probably the furthest cry from typical commander that it could possibly be.
Yeah, so what were you hoping to hear about?
Okay, that was weird. For the most part, just what your initial thoughts getting into this format and what you're looking to accomplish with this format as from a competitive, from a deck building, from just a general enjoyment standpoint.
So the first point is that I am a commander player, and my commander decks get expensive. One of the things I love about Pauper is you can build a truly competitive deck on a budget. There are different ways to do it, there are interesting ways to do it, and it doesn't have to fit into a certain niche to succeed. You know, you can do cool stuff with it. And that's kind of what I have been embracing, is finding certain different avenues that people don't normally go down, or finding my own way to recreate these meta decks and improve on it. The big one, of course, being this Pauper Spy list that I've been spending a lot of time revising, because I got a lot of experience with it between the practice rounds, between the tournament itself, and between goldfishing. I found out a lot about the Pauper Spy. I figured out what I think are its biggest weaknesses, and I've been working to make my own version that cleans it.
Yeah. Another thing that I just remembered, we talked about this before we started recording, but one of the things you mentioned was the difference in mentality from playing against, for example, a Gruul land destruction deck in Pauper compared to playing against something similar in Commander.
Yeah, so the difference is, I mean, obviously, if I sit down at a commander game and there's a land destruction player, first things first, I'm coming at them. Like, they're not there to have a good time. Their whole point is to make the game not fun for everybody around them.
But in
And that,
Pauper, you don't get a choice. You have to come at them.
right. And in Pauper, I had no issue going against that deck, besides the fact that it was honestly a really solid matchup for me. I had no issue going up against it for the simple fact that we're here to win, man. There is a substantial prize pool on the line for this. You're bringing what you think you're going to win with. I'm showing up into your space and I'm trying to win the same thing. And the whole mentality of, okay, you're trying to stop me. Let's go. Let's do this. That was entertaining for me. I had a lot of fun figuring out that mental dynamic.
Keep talking about this. I would love to continue to hear your perspective because I started out playing 60 card formats and then moved into Commander, and I'm sort of starting to go back towards these 60 card formats. So I'd like to hear more about the perspective of a Commander player getting into these formats.
Oh, well, and I've dabbled in 60 card. I spent a lot of time on Arena playing Standard. I played Standard in person. I've delved into it, but I've never competed before. And there was just something different about the vibe and the environment of going into a competitive, like I paid $35 just to sit at this table. Let's earn my $35. And the vibes were immaculate. It's very much like the best moments of CEDH when
Yeah.
everyone knows why we're here, everyone knows why we're sitting down. Let's shuffle up and get it done. It was that on a cleaner level. My favorite magic, as Russ will tell you, is technical magic and tight magic. I love watching games that go back and forth, and I love playing in games where there is no clear-cut advantage. It's the Gabriel Nassif top deck. It's the are they gonna swing with the Hazoret or hold it back? Those old school moments are some of my all-time favorites.
Are they
And
going to
play
forget to discard cards before they go to combat?
are they gonna? Yeah, I mean, are they gonna? What was Domingo? What was his name? There's a guy. Are they gonna crew before combat? Those
Yeah.
moments of those little things that really. I think it might have been Javier Dominguez is what I'm thinking of.
They
Um,
have 4 open mana. Are they going to cast a spy? Or are they going to dread return the spy that's in their grave?
and while I was playing this tournament, especially in that last game where I dropped the spy and hoped he didn't have it, it felt like I got to have one of those moments myself. And that I think is what hooked me. And I
Yeah.
understand that not every game is going to be like that. Not every single game is going to be cutthroat, big moments, everything's tight. But it was a rush to be able to show up and just do that and just be there. And I'm hooked. I'm hooked on it. I truly had a lot of fun, and I'm working on several Pauper decks myself just to mess around with. There's a Pauper League every other week at my game store that I work at. I'm gonna start getting involved with that. The community is already one I'm very close with.
Yeah, and if you happen to live in the greater Birmingham area in Birmingham, Alabama, I'm working on trying to get a popper scene started down here. So if you're interested in that, hit me up on Discord.
Or don't, and come to Cincinnati instead.
Don't do that.
But
It's beige.
no, the ideologies are different. And I think that's kind of like that's not a novel statement. That's not something groundbreaking that I can say. We know that the mindsets are different. We know that the vibes are different. But to me, I think there's a difference between saying it and experiencing it. And there was a thrill to being at several times in the top cut and then having to fight into the top cut or having to figure out the line in real time. Otherwise, I didn't have a chance. That was the coolest part of the weekend for me because I got to show that I am good at Magic. I mean, I screw around in Commander. We all know that, I'm a good Commander is Commander, and we're gonna do what we want. But a format like Pauper and Value Vintage Foster, in my mind, are formats where the card pool is so limited, the meta is so tight. If you do not know what you're doing in the game, if you cannot figure out your lines, if you do not know the rules and you do not know technical magic, you're not gonna do well. And that's
Yeah.
just what was so sick for me because it was a moment where I got to really show that I know what I'm doing in Magic and can probably compete and have fun with it. I'm working
Yeah.
on my own novel deck right now that I'm sort of happy with. I'm still plugging around with it, but I'm in. I like the format. The format is really cool.
Yeah. My favorite, absolute favorite thing about the format, not only that it rewards tight play and clean magic, just about any deck in this format can beat any other deck in this format.
Except for Affinity. You're not
There's
beating
very
Affinity.
rarely going to be a time where you just blatantly lose a matchup.
Yeah.
There's a very big scene for Pauper on Magic Online too, by the way. And the Magic Challenge was won by a deck that not a lot of people were expecting, actually. Do you want to take a guess at what it was?
Give me some colors. What were the colors?
Well, if I tell you that, it's gonna give it away.
I mean, I'm gonna guess it wasn't terror because that's expected. I'd say spy and fairies are both pretty expected. Affinity, Tron, out of nowhere with my knowledge, I'd say it was in a fringe elves deck of some kind.
So the challenge, the person who was playing this deck lost in round one to Jund Wildfire and then went undefeated for the rest of the tournament.
I didn't see a Jund Wildfire deck, but from what I've heard, it's nasty.
The person who won the challenge was on Mono Black Sacrifice.
Black Sag, let's go. That's one of the decks that I'm working on is
Yeah.
my own iteration of Black Sag.
Yes. And I believe the gentleman who is the owner of the Black Stack Discord is actually local to Cincinnati, Marsh Flats
Yeah,
from
I'm,
Strata
I'm
Games.
yeah.
He's a very nice guy. He's very, very talented at playing Black Sacrifice. He
Oh
opted to
yeah.
play Jund Wildfire at the Cincinnati 1K though.
Quick shout out to Strata Games. Super nice guy, local to the area, Mavericks regular. Shows up to the Maverick in the Pauper Discord, I should say, says, "Hey, I'm bringing some stuff." Shows up to the Mavericks Pauper Day with just a box of things for people to go through and take what they need for their decks. I traded a little bit because I needed some things for Spy, but just the coolest guy, the best ambassador for the format. Big shout outs to him. Just the nicest person in the world.
Yeah. Uh, and I think we're about to the point where we can just start wrapping up, yeah?
I mean, there's one other thing we have to do, Russ. Where
Oh
Quebin?
yeah, Aaron, where Quebin?
No, where Quebin? You have hijacked the episode. You where Quebin? Where Quebin, Russ?
Oh, I have a good one. So this one's gonna relate to Pauper. If your Pauper deck, any you could name any card in one of your Pauper decks as the commander. Who is it?
Oh, that's a good question. I was tossing around the idea of
Like not saying that like this card goes into a command zone, but like what is the card that you would consider to be like the most important card? Most of the strategy revolves around this card. What is it?
overgrown battlement. We were talking about this card on the car ride home when we were in VC, kind of planning for the night. And we mentioned just how absolutely nuts the card Overgrown Battlement is. For those of you who don't know, it's one in a green for an 0/4 defender that taps for a green for each creature you control with defender. This is mana positive on turn two, the second turn it's out. I mean, you drop a Cerulean Caretaker turn one, Overgrown Battlement turn two, and then turn three, you're dropping a Wall of Roots. Your Overgrown Battlement's tapping for 3 mana. Your Wall of Roots is giving you a fourth, and the Cerulean Caretaker is giving you a fifth with your lands as well. So that's one of the big things around Spy is that's the reason it works well with one, two, three, maybe four lands at any time. Overgrown Battlement is the heart and soul of this strategy, and I love that card.
For fairies, I think the most important card in the deck is probably Moon Circuit Hacker.
Love that card. That's a great card.
One mana ninjutsu. That's unbelievably important for tempo plays. If it's not that, then it's probably Spell Stutter Sprite.
Spellstutter Sprite is also just awesome.
Yeah, I love that card.
Spellstutter
Um,
Sprite is one that I play in Standard, actually.
Spell Stutter Sprite is not legal
Or
in
not
Standard.
standard. Not my standard. I play it in Commander is what I meant. Why did I say standard? I play it in
I
Commander.
don't know. Why did you say Standard?
No, I play Spell Stutter in standard. That's what I
Yeah.
was thinking.
That card is also legal in Pauper. It's unfortunately just not very good.
Yeah, 4 mana for a counter spell at that point.
And it's a
No,
soft counter too.
yeah, yeah, in standard you can get away with it, but in Pauper where you've got Songs of the Damned and stuff like that, it's too good.
Yeah. In Pauper, the reason Spell Stutter Sprite is so good is because it's a counter and a body.
Yeah.
But because I brought us in, Aaron, you want to take us out?
Yeah, this was a cool episode, and I'm hoping to do more about with this kind of thing as we branch out and learn more. We threw on the idea we're gonna have our good friend Foster, hopefully, on to talk about value vintage and kind of the same thing we did. We're going to ask our good friend Serena. This is the first time either of them are hearing about this, by the way. We are going to ask our good friend Serena to come on and talk about standard. We want to dive a bit more into the 60 card format. So I'm really glad we were able to get this done today. I had a
Maybe we'll
lot
do
of
some
fun.
60 card gameplay on the stream.
Yeah, maybe get a Pauper League or something going on in our own personal. But with nothing else to say, we have been the Lockthwing Lobby Podcast. I am Aeryn, second of Lockthwing, your normal host. He is Russ, the partner in slime, the co-host that decided to bogart my bogart the
I
podcast
elbowed my
today.
way in.
You did not elbow. You flashbanged and said, "I'm the captain now."
I,
Um,
I I threw a flashbang into the room and closed the door. And then while you were disoriented, I walked in with a microphone.
What's up, Curse? But we have been the Lockman Lobby podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to be spreading this around a little bit further because we want to touch some more communities. But if you want to get involved in our community, which is one of the most active in the Magic space from my personal experience, go ahead and follow us on YouTube. Hop in our Discord. Everything's down there in the link tree. We will be opening up a Patreon at some point, but we want to get the community involved first. You can come get some games in, get some
Don't
deck
forget to
brewing.
mention the charity stream as well.
I'm getting there.
No, we'll get there
Um,
faster.
you can get some games in, you can hang out with us, you can talk deck brew. We're doing all of those things. Russ and I having basically far too much free time. We're in there a lot, so please come hang out with us. We are also very quickly approaching 1 year doing content as of Labor Day. We started with a 12-hour gameplay stream on Labor Day of 2025, and through the ups and downs, we have been continuing to do this. So we are going to be attempting a charity stream for our 1 year anniversary, the weekend of Labor Day. We're going to be reaching out to some of our friends in the content creation space to talk about different formats to play, different formats, play some Commander, play some CDH, play some Pauper, play some Standard. We're going to be all over the place trying to raise money for. Russ, tell us about the charity.
Well, Aaron, you let me decide because it will be my birthday on Labor Day, so I decided that we're going to raise money for Child's Play. Is a charity that is reasonably important to me. They do a lot of incredible work, and it's just a charity that I really believe in.
What do they do? Like, what's their what is the money that we would be donating and contributing to?
Child's Play is a charity that uses things like video games to support therapy for children. Like after surgery, it uses video games as a way to distract them from the painful procedure of recovering from surgeries, primarily.
That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a really cool thing. I've done
Yeah.
some work in similar fields. Some of the D&D research that I've done has been in similar fields. So that's an awesome thing. And we are excited to get that going. Obviously, that's not a cheap endeavor, and it's a very cost-based charity with what they do for these kids. So we want to help them out as much as they can.
Yeah.
So join us on Labor Day. Keep an eye out for that. We're going to start assembling a guest list here soon, as that's coming up quickly on us. But one last time, I have been Aeryn, second of Lockthwain. He has been Russ, the partner in slime. We have been the Lockthwain Lobby podcast. Hit the link tree, hop the Discord, come yell at us, come brew Pauper, come brew Commander, come brew Pauper Commander. Russ, you got anything to throw out there?
Just to remember that the best wins.
The flavor wins. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you, and thank you for playing Magic. We will see you next time.